The Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE. It's electrified.
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
So you can boogie woogie woogie into the forest.
Boogie.
Boogie woogie woogie through the mud. Or boogie woogie woogie to work, where you boogie woogie woogie down the hall to your boss's office to tell him you quit.
Sure got the boogie.
Then you boogie woogie woogie to the elevator as he boogie woogie woogies after you, begging, please, take me with you.
Boogie.
The electrified Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE. Learn more at Jeep.com. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
WQEE 99.1 FM The Key, home of Southern Sports and Talk. Noonan, Sharpsburg, Franklin.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hank Arnold here from Coweta Force. Coweta Force is Noonan's own addiction recovery support center. We exist to provide recovery support services for individuals and family members who have been impacted by addiction. Our services are no cost, and all of our information is available on our website at www.cowetaforce.org or follow us on Facebook.
Are you looking for guidance and direction? Stop on by the House of Light Tuesdays from 12 to 3 and have tea and tarot with Christy. The House of Light is located at 29 Jackson Street in Newnan, Georgia. Call 470-414-6711 for more information.
The House of Light brings clarity to your soul, offering a safe space for healing through our compassionate practitioners, services, classes, and wisdom, plus the tools to support you in our retail space.
If you think or know you had COVID-19, you can be around others after 10 days since symptoms first appeared, and after 24 hours with no fever without fever-reducing medication, and after other symptoms have improved. If you have tested positive for COVID-19 and you had no symptoms, you can be around others 10 days after you got tested for COVID-19. To learn more, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus.
This is Jared Rutledge of the Columbus River Dragons, your home for River Dragons hockey in Newnan.
The views and opinions of this show and program are not the views and opinions of this station, its management, or its clientele. It's now time for the House of Light presents The Wisdom Cafe, each and every week at this time on 99.1 FM WQEE. Here's this week's special.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the House of Light presents Wisdom Cafe here on 99.1 WQEE. It's Donna, by the way. I know you guys recognize me by now. Welcome, welcome. I have a very, very special guest today. Today we got an extra helping here at the Wisdom Cafe. There were 5 Fridays in this month. So, potluck. Yeah, what luck. What luck today. I have a very, very special guest with me. I have Janice Boscarello. She is an intuitive medium, and she's going to be doing a very special presentation at the House of Light tonight. Demonstration of mediumship. So I wanted her to come on and introduce herself, let everybody know, when did you know that you were a medium?
Good morning, everyone. So for me, my awareness came around between 11 and 12 years old. Wow. Is when I started sensing and feeling and actually seeing spirit. So it was quite fascinating.
So let me ask you a question, because a lot of people say that. When you say seeing, some people can really physically, see things, right?
Correct.
And some people see things in their mind.
Correct.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. So which way
Absolutely.
do you see?
I see with my physical eyes.
Wow.
So what I mean when I see spirit, for me it's like looking through, I'll say, a veil.
Okay.
Okay, like a shadow, if you will. The best way to describe it is, I always tell people, think of the movie Ghost, and when Patrick Swayze was gone, and at the end, that's how I see spirit.
Wow.
That's how I see spirit.
You know, I have heard that on movies and shows that we watch, we are given truth sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that is fascinating. What did you do with that? Because did it frighten you at all? Did you get scared?
Yes, absolutely. It frightened me in the sense because I didn't understand what was going on. The first spirit that I called my Civil War buddy, because he was truly, to this day, was dressed in the boots and the outfit, and he would walk up and down the hallway. He had a mustache. I know exactly what he looks like today, but I would hear him first. 12 o'clock, he would come every night. And he wouldn't cross over. For me, it was what I was sensing and feeling was a protection for the home at that time, during the time what was going on with my mom. And I would tell her and talk about it. So it was one of those things for me as a child. I think that the understanding back in the 60s was something that you push away and put in the closet. You don't talk about it. So it was just not understanding or having the education about what a medium does or how we represent ourselves. For me, I always stay in the light with Jesus and the angels and spirits. So I think that people, if they don't understand it, should educate themselves on what it means to be a medium.
Yeah, back in the 60s, we didn't have the opportunity to learn things like we do now. I mean, we can get answers instantaneously, right?
Absolutely.
Hello,
yes.
Google, right? So it's really different.
Yeah. So it was very frightening, and then I learned once I started seeing and what was going on. Some spirits would be walking down the street and they would have a light over them. For me, once I learned what was going on, I was like, wait a minute, they're not here to frighten me, they're here to teach me. Or I'm to learn something from it. And then I had to learn what they wanted to share with me. What were they looking for? So I pushed it aside for a very long time.
That's, I don't know, but that's a powerful awareness for a young person to have, to be able to say, they're here, to teach me something. Mm-hmm. I'm to learn from this. Instead of staying in the fear and allowing it to almost eat you up inside because
True.
You don't want to face it.
Right. And I applaud the parents today that are so open and, if we didn't have people like John Edwards, the medium, or James Van Praagh and those beautiful mediums out there to help us in the last 20, 30 years with mediumship. And these parents are so open today to help their children understand what's going on with them and helping them to seek out people, whether it's mediums, whether it's teachers, to help them understand what's going on and not to face that, face it and understand it and do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, I truly believe it is a spiritual gift. Like you said, you recognized it at a very young age and then knew that it was a gift because it was there to teach you, which is what...
It was, and for me, for things that I was going on at that time as a child, I believe that Jesus, God, angels, whoever you believe in, gave me that to help me get through what I was going through. And there's a psychic part of it, and there's the mediumship part of it. I would get premonitions, I'd get predictions, and I had to learn what to do with that myself.
Cool. Okay, I was going to ask you, but I think you just answered. Because there is a little bit of a difference between psychic and intuition and mediumship, right?
Yes. So the psychic part of it for me is just knowing the difference of telling someone or feeling and sensing something's going to happen, or saying, you know what, you're going to get that promotion you were talking about. And, I always tell people to trust in what you sense and feel. Go with your gut. And the mediumship part of it is connecting with a loved one like your mother, your father, and giving those validations of what's going on with them on the other side, I think sometimes people want something so different from spirit on the other side that they don't understand. They're not going to give you a full sentence of what's going on. They're going to give you bits and pieces, like like putting a puzzle together and those kinds of things. So it's I always say that a medium is always a psychic, but a psychic isn't always a medium. Nor sometimes do they want to be.
Yeah. So becoming a medium, I believe, does take work, right?
It takes a lot of work. I call it energy. It takes a lot of energy. I would say to anybody out there that is going down this path, we are all energy. So you really have to trust in your energy and take care of your body and your energy. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not for the weak at heart, I'll put it that way, because I'm very blessed. I don't take it for granted. I'm very grateful for having my gift. And I always tell people, if this is a path you want to go down, you have to be very mindful. You can't let your ego get in the way. You have to be grateful. If you're not grateful and stay where you're supposed to be spiritually, I always say what spirit gives, they can take.
Yeah, I think that's true with all energy, because it's constantly in motion. It has to be.
Yes.
So part of growing that gift, I think you kind of touched on it, and I think the listeners may want to know, because I'm sure we've got some out there. If we do have any listeners that have this gift, we would love to hear from you and let us know, what are you doing, with your gift? Are you growing it? Are you nourishing it? You mentioned that on the other side, they don't present like we expect them to. You get bits and pieces and things. So what I believe part of nourishing and learning that gift is learning how you receive those messages and
Yes.
the information you're getting. You have to learn how to put it together in order to give it to someone, right?
Absolutely. And I'm a medium from my experience. I don't sugarcoat anything. I just don't. I give what I receive. And how they were here and how they are over there. So your family will understand, or a client will understand what's going on, because that's how they were here. And then they'll go into other details. They really and truly don't want you to remember their last breath. They want you to remember their life. That's what they want. So sometimes they'll go back, if they were 85, they'll go back to when they were 35 and give me bits and pieces of what was happening there. So I think it's fascinating how they give me those images. And when you were saying before, do I see with my eyes, or know within the knowing within the third eye, or whatever you want to call it, that happens too. Or I'll get a sense and feel spirit will always come to my left side of my body. So all mediums are different, how they connect and how they receive, whether they're clairvoyant or other things. So it's very different for me. They change it up. Sometimes I hear, they'll put a voice right outside my ear. And for me, most of the time, it's a knowing and a seeing. That's what I get most of the time.
And when you said knowing, it was interesting how, because the viewers can't see us.
Correct.
You look beautiful today.
Well, thank you. So
got
do
this
you.
beautiful shining aura. You touched your belly.
I do.
And that is our solar plexus, our little sunshine, our power center. It's where we hold our energy, our power, right?
Yes.
So that's when, people talk about it all the time. What does your gut say, right?
Right.
So
what I'm sensing and
that's
feeling.
when
Yes.
you said, I have a knowing, and you touched your belly. So you feel it in your solar plexus, in your gut.
Yes.
And that's how you know that you know, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Cool. Has anybody responded and said?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So, how do you prepare for something as big as the event you're going to do at the House of Light tonight, where There's going to be probably, I don't know, somewhere. Well, you've done huge events when there's hundreds of people. But tonight there's probably going to be, 15, 16. It's going to be an intimate group.
Right.
So the interesting thing is I want to know how you prepare for that and how you know that the message is for this person versus a person sitting right next to them. Does that make sense?
It does. Good question. So for me, sometimes, how do I prepare? That was your first question. I think a lot of people think we just go in and we just start, receiving. For me, I prepare myself and prepare my energy. I always put a light over me. I go with Archangel Michael. I do 30 minutes to 45 minutes of just getting my energy where it needs to be. So for us, we have to raise our energy, our vibration, and Spirit has to bring it down, right? So that's how we connect in the middle. So it takes a lot of that energy and meditation for me. I'll listen to some vibrational frequencies, get myself where I need to be. I ground myself, always ground. I think that people sometimes forget that you need to be grounded. You can't always stay in this high vibration. So I ground myself very much. I always say, Our Father. I talk to Jesus. I connect and ask them to bring who needs to come through. That's what I do to prepare. It's always a good 30, 45 minutes before. When I'm done, I have to disconnect too. So people sometimes forget you have to disconnect and put your energy back. I don't want your loved ones going home with me.
True. Some people do that. They really do. And then they walk around with all this stuff. We'll call them attachments because that's kind of what they are. Because that's how we, in this physical reality, can relate to it.
Absolutely. And for me, I don't go up to someone, a stranger, and just start saying, hey, your grandmother's standing behind you. That, to me, is ethically wrong. I think there's a lot of ethics that come along with being a psychic medium. I think you should ask for permission before you get into someone else's energy or to share because they may not be open to it. And I understand that too. So, and then the next question you asked me is, how do I know the difference between this person's loved one and that person? Sometimes it's hard, I'll have to say. One time I had 3 grandmothers behind 3 people, and I'm like, well, who's going to talk? Who's going to be with who? And what happens is I talk to them in my mind and say, okay, well, give me a name. Give me how you left this world. What did you do for a living? How did you leave this world? Did you have something going on with your heart, your lungs? Did you have Alzheimer's? Something going on. And then that just brings in the energy of them allowing me to give what I need to say, okay, I'm with you. But that doesn't mean that the messages isn't for everyone else. I always say in a group session or a big platform event, I truly believe that the messages are for everyone. It's just that we have to validate and be with that one person they want to talk to. I do believe that. And I always say, too, when you go to a group session or a platform, you need to be open. Mm-hmm. Don't come if you're not open. You're going to want to sense and feel this energy. And don't be shy to raise your hand and say, hey, I think that's my grandfather. I think that's with me. So it's about the energy of the group as well. It's not just me and Spirit. It's the energy of you coming in and saying, I'm ready. I talked to them. They're going to be here today.
Yeah, I have been blessed to witness you demonstrating before. And others. I have seen other, mediums that work. I years ago I went and saw both John Holland and John Edwards. So I've been, in those big platforms, and had one time. I experienced that. It was, I believe, with John Edwards. No, I'm sorry, John Holland. Talking about, and he said he kept crossing his forehead saying she wasn't right in her head. Starts with a D. And I was like, oh, wow. Because my aunt had passed like the year before, Aunt Diane, and she was not right in her head. Right. And the message, although it went because the woman, 3 or 4 rows up raised her hand, he went with her. And so then the message kind of went a little bit deeper then, but I still felt whole. I still felt complete.
I truly believe that.
You know what I'm saying? Even though, it wasn't truly for me, it was kind of for me, like you said, being open. Now, the funny thing is, and I want to know what you think about this, there is always someone in the audience who says, I'm not open. I am skeptic. I don't want to believe.
That's true.
And they're usually the one that gets the message.
They're always
right?
the one that gets the message.
Yes.
And I welcome that. I think that everybody has to follow their I have clients all the time who say, well, I don't know if I'm ready. I said, you do it when you're ready. You have to be open to this. It's painful. It's grieving when we lose someone that we love so much. It's hard to put it into perspective to think that they are around. And we really don't pay attention to the signs and things that they send us to let us know that they are around, right? Because I just feel like our souls keep going on, and it's amazing to me that people sometimes say, oh, no, I seen this TV today, and it would just remind me so much of my grandfather, but the message wasn't there. It was just a coincidence. That to me is, no, you got to take it. You got to run with that. So it may not be the way we think it should come, but they always send us messages, always. They always send us signs.
Definitely.
And it changes. And I say go with what you feel is connecting you with your parent or that person that you lost, whether it be a child or a spouse or whoever it may be. The grieving process sometimes blocks us from receiving. I have people say, well, my mom always goes to my sister, but she never comes to me. Well, are you ready? Are you open to receive? Some people, it's so painful they can't. So the grieving process stops it.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Sue from the Navajo Nation says, how can you get someone to pass on, a loved one to be able to pass on, or when they're ready to pass forward, move on?
So does that mean that they're already in the transitional stages of an illness or?
Oh, there are. I think she was talking about she's been visited by her grandma number of times, and
so she wants her to move on and go to heaven or whatever we call the life.
Right.
Talk to her. Tell her it's okay for her to go. Ask her to turn around and go. That's a really good question because I actually helped a little boy cross over one time. It was so fascinating. I cried for hours. He was stuck in Berkeley Springs.
Right.
I rented a cabin, and there he was, trying to find his mother. I said, listen, your family's not here anymore. You need to turn around, and it's time for you to go home. It's okay. You're going to be just fine. Tell her to talk to her, and I would say to you, just ask her to turn around and go. It's okay. There's another flip side to that as well. I don't feel like it's my place to tell a spirit what to do.
Okay.
I'm not over there.
Right.
None of us are until we get there. So there's always a protection mode that they come into, too. If there's something happening in your life where they want to be there, allow them to be there and say, thank you, but you can go now. I'm okay.
Awesome. That answers her question for sure.
Yeah. And I was also looking at the flip side of perhaps I've been hearing that now, especially now, a lot of people are choosing to leave the physical body because they know that they are energy and that they are still here, even though their physical presence isn't here. Their love, their energy is still here, because that's what we are. We are energy beings, and sometimes that person is there to help you with something or teach you something. So, ask that too. Is there something I need to know? Is there something you want to tell me? Is there a lesson you're here to help me learn? Let's do this.
Yes, let's do it.
Right?
And you can go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah, and sometimes aren't they guides? Sometimes our ancestors can come in and they're present with us just as upliftment. Right? Just as more energy for us to be able to go through and do the things we need to do. People call them guides, right?
Yes, absolutely. I have guides with me all the time. There's 2 or 3 guys that are with me always when I'm doing platform or demonstration or even with my clients. I have a Native American, I call him Red Wing. He's with me sometimes. It all depends on what's going on with the situation and what group I have. Sometimes the groups are very wanting to heal. They want closure. And nobody knows better than themselves. Losing a child or a spouse is one of the worst things you'll ever go through in your life. I say that all the time because my experience as a medium and my clients, and I love them so much. I'm very grateful. But I always say these guides that come and help me are very different. I have a guide that's named Cecilia, and she's with me when there's going to be a lot of grandmothers that night because she's older. She's like a mother guide, and she's with me. My mother's with me all the time teaching me lessons. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
When I don't trust, believe me, when I don't trust, because just because I'm a medium doesn't say I don't get down on myself sometimes, because I do. I ask and ask and ask. I want a sign today, Mama. Where are you? I want you to give me something. Well, I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I ask and ask. When did she give me a sign? The day I leave. She always just brings me hearts. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm all about the heart. She shows me hearts and everywhere. And what does she do? I'm going down the highway on the way to Georgia, and a car passes me really slow, and the back tag said Jean. Well, her name was Jean.
Oh.
So for me, that's a sign saying, hey, I'm here. I've been with you.
Right.
Keep doing what you need to do here while you're here.
Yes. And
Thank
I
you.
know that they do that. Signs and synchronicities
Yes.
are all around all the time. They are communicating with us all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So one more thing real quick. When you said the 3 grandmothers and all, I think I've heard you speak before that sometimes people that are on the other side, energies, will bring someone forth that maybe doesn't know how to come forth. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. A lot of times I tell my clients, I don't choose spirit, they choose me. But I have learned as a medium that, we can ask, So I'll have someone that says, well, your grandfather's here. Well, I really want to hear from my father. Okay, well, let's see if they come forward. If they were really shy and an introvert here, it takes them a little bit of time and someone else that's very much open to come through and say, oh, guess what? They just brought them through. So then they come. I can have from between 1 to 5 beautiful souls come through in a session. Wow. So it's very much how their energy wants to come through. And you know what? Sometimes they don't want to talk to me. Maybe they want to talk to another medium. I'm very open about that too. I mean, there's so many beautiful gifted mediums out there. I'm just one of those people, if I don't have it, I'm not going to give it. I have to stay within my integrity and who I am as a person, as a human soul receiving. So, yes, they do. They can, and I'll say, well, I hope this reading and session was good for you today. Is there someone that we did not get to come through? And they'll say, well, this person. And then I'll say, all right, well, let's ask. So that's a good question because I will always ask and see if it comes through. Another thing that I always say, too, is don't give me information. Don't feed me when you want to contact me. I don't want to know who you're looking for. I just want your name and your email and phone number and go from there so you know truly who I am as a person and as a medium. That's important to me.
That's beautiful.
No matter who you go with, doesn't matter who you talk to, don't feed them information. That's the one thing I would say before we go.
Okay. Beautiful. Oh, this was a great day. I hope you all got as much out of it as I did. And thank you, Sue, for your question. Remember, send in questions, orders for your food that you would like to feed your soul here at Wisdom Cafe.
You've been listening to the House of Light presents the Wisdom Cafe on 99.1 FM WQEE. The House of Light, a wellness center at 29 Jackson Street here in Newnan, is a place for people to relax and find true healing. For additional information, 407-414-6711. Remember to tune in next week for another healing message from the House of Light presents the Wisdom Cafe right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Neighbors. They sure are judgmental, always yammering on with their opinions about landscaping. But your furry neighbors, they've had it with the wood mulch.
Honey! The squirrel is mocking me again.
Switch and save with recycled rubber nugget mulch. It doesn't rot, won't feed weeds and pests, and the color lasts for more than a decade. So don't be like Steve.
It's just mulch.
Switch to rubber mulch already. Visit switchtorubbermulch.com.